One of the biggest revolutions in the car industry is right around the corner, as flying cars, which we could only dream of up to a couple of years ago, are getting closer and closer to production. In fact, a number of functioning prototypes from different new manufacturers were shown to the public recently, and some of the industry's biggest names even announced that they too will develop these vehicles. But how will these cars function in practice, and who actually makes them?
And I just was able to get in the vehicle myself about a month ago and start racking up some human flight hours. It's a single-seat vehicle, so when you get in for your first flight, you are on your own in there.
Join us as we explore how flying cars drive in the air. The concept of flying cars has been somewhat explored in the past. However, all of these attempts of revolutionizing cars were unsuccessful, as the technological limitations didn't allow reliable and practical ways of making these vehicles, and they were too big to be used, required a runway to take off, and used way too much fuel. They were neither good cars nor were they good planes. But thanks to the rapid development of electric cars, which are more powerful and more popular than ever, and thanks to the versatility of the all-electric future that awaits us, we can be sure that there is a bright future for the concept of flying cars. Many of the aforementioned shortcomings of flying cars that were persistently present throughout the past will finally be solved. Oh, and with the inception of the flying car, we'll be fixing one of the biggest issues regarding road transportation: the high amount of traffic flow. By lowering the overall volume of traffic congestion and jams will also drop significantly, making commuting much faster and more efficient, while also lowering pollution in cities. Combine that with the fact that these cars will be all electric, and you'll have an insight into a much greener future of vehicular transport. Would you like to see a future where cars are taking off the streets and flying above your head? Do you believe in a future where road-driven cars are completely replaced by ones that can fly? And would you own a flying car if that happened? Let me know in the comments below. So, how will these cars function in practice? Well, they definitely won't need a runway to take off. In fact, these cars are going to be VTOLs. This means that they could hypothetically take off at any given moment and at any place while stationary, and they can propel themselves completely vertical like a helicopter. Many of these vehicles do bear a high resemblance to helicopters, and they utilize propellers to traverse in the air. However, unlike helicopters, flying cars will have a number of smaller propellers instead of a huge rotor blade, similar to propeller-powered VTOL drones. The reason for this is to lower the noise that a singular rotor produces, which also makes the car much more practical for regular traversing, as the smaller propellers can be integrated into the design of the car, making it both sleeker looking and much more ergonomic for day-to-day usage. When they're on the ground, however, most of these vehicles will utilize a standard electric motor that is powering the wheels, just like any other ordinary EV. They will also most likely be fitted with an autopilot feature when airborne, so that the occupants can rest assured and relax while flying, while also having level 3 or higher autonomy levels while on the road. With all of these features, we're 100% sure that flying cars will replace small helicopters, as they'll offer a silkier and much quieter ride, while also being considerably cheaper to both run and buy in the first place. Above all else, it's still a car, allowing you to drive it on regular roads, which a helicopter simply cannot do. There are also alternative ways of powering flying vehicles that are being explored and developed, one of which is making a propellerless vehicle that is powered by electric engines alone, similar to jet-powered planes. These vehicles have two different propulsion systems, one which will allow the car to raise itself into the skies, and the other will allow it to go forward when airborne. This is similar to the way that the Sea Harrier works, which is the first commercially successful VTOL jet. The majority of us will recognize this plane as the almighty Hydra from GTA San Andreas, where it and its highly versatile VTOL capabilities make a legendary appearance. Well, imagine having those capabilities available to you in the real world.
What can bring more value to our world to have more possibilities? Bellwether's vision is to disrupt, to inspire.
The biggest advantage of these flying cars compared to propeller-powered ones is the fact that they'll be considerably lighter, smaller, and possibly even faster. This essentially means that the range will be extended and that the car will be even more usable than its propeller-powered counterpart. On the other side, it will be considerably more expensive, as this technology is much more advanced and expensive, and it still requires a lot of development. So we don't really believe that this kind of flying car will happen in the next couple of years. But we do believe that the development of such a car will be quite lucrative in the long run. However, many car manufacturers are going all in on flying vehicles, and one of them is closer than ever to actually starting manufacturing them. Who is currently making flying cars? Flying cars are being developed all around the world. However, we would like to point you towards the Chinese company XPeng, as they are extremely close to putting their flying vehicle into production very soon. XPeng is a Chinese car manufacturer that has been gaining a lot of popularity lately due to its stylish and extremely affordable EVs. Their prototype, the XPeng Aero HT VTOL, is an extremely advanced vehicle that is already late in development, as it is fully drivable and flyable. It's a propeller-powered VTOL that weighs around 2 tons. It has 4 rotors that are attached to 4 arms that are protruding from the top of the car. Now, you might think that the car looks like a regular old EV with a drone slapped onto its roof, and believe it or not, you'd be 100% right. That's exactly why we believe that this car will be the first production-ready flying car, as it's not a space-age machine that is completely devoid of what we know about cars. It's both quite easy to stomach design and ideologically wise, while also being advanced enough to turn the whole car industry upside down. Plus, because XPeng is still technically an upstart Chinese brand, the Aero HT's price probably won't be astronomically high to begin with. And to add a cherry on top of all this, the car has recently completed its first flight, and it did it with flying colors. Apart from XPeng, there's also a couple of other manufacturers, like Aeromobile, PAL-V, and many others that have started developing electric vehicles. Even Tesla started thinking of making them themselves. However, there is a slight problem. Namely, no matter how affordable the car will be, it's still going to be the first of its kind, which essentially means it'll be reserved for those that have deep pockets. And not only that, but even if the flying car as a concept gains momentum, those cars will hardly replace regular cars, at least not for a long time, as it'll still be quite cumbersome, impractical, and expensive to buy, as they are quite advanced and complicated. Even XPeng themselves said they had quite a lot of hardships while making the car fly, as it is extremely heavy. Plus, the range on it will not be great, as the batteries aren't big enough for long flights, and making them bigger will also make the car considerably heavier. However, Tesla is working on a new way of powering airplanes, and they themselves are planning on making a fully electric plane. In fact, Elon Musk went into a lot of detail when explaining his concept, and if you'd like to learn about this, you should watch this video.